21st century will be remembered as a time of social, political, and economic upheaval. Yet during this time, one class has found a way not only to weather the storm, but to emerge even stronger than before. The extreme division sowed between different slices of society has created an ideal situation for power-hungry people to carve out and increase the size of their sphere of influence. When people are divided, they seek people with similar viewpoints to make them feel justified in their beliefs, thus failing to see what's actually going on around them. When I abandoned our society, I walked away from more than just my successes and the expectations of even greater things to come. I was being groomed as the newest member in a cabal of power brokers. From a young age, I was educated in various fields like power dynamics, strategic thinking, dark psychology, information gathering and analysis. The list goes on and on. But I believe it will take more than just me to change the path our society has foolishly decided to follow. So I'm beginning by sharing what I know. The single most important topic you can learn about is power. And there are only 3 key components of unbridled power. The first of these components is anonymity. And this may be surprising. The president isn't anonymous. Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Bill Gates, they aren't anonymous. But I can guarantee you, every time they make an actual power move, they're not the one who ends up the fall guy if something goes wrong. Nothing tracks back to them. That's pseudo-anonymity, and it's one of the only ways a public figure can hold any real power. But these guys, and all the names you're rushing to post in the comments right now, they're nowhere near as powerful as some of the shadowy figures who lurk behind the scenes. And you'll see why when we get to the second key component. But before that, let's take a look at this guy. Before the landmark news story broke, how many of you knew who Jeffrey Epstein was? He was a billionaire. He rubbed shoulders with former presidents, Hollywood stars, and countless other notable people. And until his life came tumbling down around him, he was providing highly illegal, despicable services to high society. One of the main reasons he was able to continue operating for so long is he kept a low profile despite the company he kept. When people like journalists, lawyers, and politicians want to do a public takedown to increase their clout, they go after people with a recognizable name. It wasn't until they were able to link Epstein to a large number of celebrities that they started to go after him. It's all about image for those people. And if you're a blank mask, a nobody, they couldn't care less. The second key component of power is information. To effectively explain this, we need to go back to the mid-1980s when a PhD sociology student invented a game called Werewolf. In this game, you take 10, 15 people, and you put them in a room. An objective moderator secretly informs 2 people that they are werewolves. Everyone else is a villager. Then there are 2 phases of the game, night and day. At night, the 2 werewolves secretly choose 1 villager and eliminate them. During the day, all of the villagers, including the 2 werewolves in disguise, find out who is eliminated, and then they discuss who they think is a werewolf. The villagers then, by majority decision, eliminate 1 villager in an attempt to oust the werewolves. This cycle repeats until both werewolves are eliminated, or all villagers are eliminated. What the PhD student was demonstrating was an example of information asymmetry. The results showed that the werewolves win most of the time, confirming that an informed minority can reliably manipulate and control an uninformed majority. And this directly relates to real power. If the villagers knew from the start who the werewolves were, it would be a simple task to eliminate them. But in the real world, the werewolves, or truly powerful people, utilize anonymity as an effective countermeasure to being overrun by the masses. Within only the past few months, we've seen an assassination attempt on a presidential candidate. That doesn't happen if the general population doesn't know who you are. The powerful have extensive information networks in order to maintain their advantage over the average person. Think Varys or Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. Large networks of people feeding them all sorts of information, and this ties into the third and final key component of power. But before we get there, Let's take a look at this guy again. Despite his relative anonymity, Jeffrey Epstein had been in trouble with the law prior to his spectacular and public meltdown in 2019. During one of his earlier encounters with law enforcement back in 2005, they raided his home looking for evidence of wrongdoing. However, he was able to smuggle key information out of his home with the help of his assistant. He knew something was coming. His information network was so diversified that he was able to successfully outmaneuver law enforcement. Which leads us to the third and final key component of power, which is a trusted network. Nobody becomes truly powerful or maintains that power without the help of other people. Building this network correctly is by far the most difficult part of achieving power. It's hard to find people you can truly trust, and that's why this is the stage at which most people fail. But powerful people don't think of trust the same way you do right now. Trust isn't earned, it's calculated. They never trust wild cards. They never trust someone for arbitrary reasons. They trust when they fully understand a person's motives and can foresee betrayal before it happens. On the other hand, they inspire trust from others in a variety of ways. From charisma and leadership to fear-mongering and threats. They gather information about the people they want to keep close and use it as a bargaining chip or an incentive. By knowing what someone wants or fears, they set up an advantageous relationship by artificially aligning interests. With a broad and aligned network, it's possible to allocate resources and strategic efforts across a much broader battlefield and achieve goals on an exponentially larger scale. And now we're back to this guy again. Epstein created a trusted network using a multifaceted approach. He provided a discreet service for influential people to indulge in their twisted fantasies. This simultaneously ingratiated him with a wide array of people, setting up a quid pro quo relationship, and generated something he could use to hold over their head as blackmail, a sick twist on the carrot and the stick. These influential people would share their information with Epstein, and he, in turn, would use it as he saw fit. Neither party could break the bond of trust because it would mean mutually assured destruction. So to recap, anonymity to stay under the radar, information to stay ahead of the curve, and a trusted network to further goals. While the trifecta didn't keep Jeffrey Epstein in power indefinitely, he was able to do reprehensible things for decades with no repercussions. And he was just a low-tier power player. The top-tier players are engaged in a game you're not yet fully equipped to understand. Which leads me to my final point. Gaining power is useless if you don't know how to properly utilize it. A single misstep and you'll find your world falling apart in worse ways than if you'd remained insignificant your whole life. But for many, there's no meaning to life if they don't strive to achieve. To that end, I plan to teach everything I know about using and consolidating power. So if you're interested, like, subscribe, and comment to get the word out, and I'll lead you into a future you've only ever dared to dream of.